Now we want to talk about the other string operators aside the like, since the like has refused to work. But I'm sure we saw the like in action over in our last class. So you can check the recording from the last class and see how the like works in pattern recognition and also the use of wildcards. So now what we want to do is execute this query again. And after we've done this, you can see that hero is everything that is being returned. Then we can introduce our AND string operator and test out whether it works. So we introduce where brands equals hero and brand equals, I'll change this to another brand. Let's say Budweiser. I hope I spelled that correctly. Since we are not using wildcards, it's a bit tough to know when I spelled something correctly. So if I run this query like so, I'm expecting to get a null result, which is exactly what I get. And we remember the reason for this is because our AND sets up a condition whereby these two brands must exist in the same record, which we don't have that in any record. However, the moment we change this AND to an OR, then we should be able to get some results. So as you can see, we are now getting results that include both Budweiser and hero. Apparently, I spelled it correctly. Okay, so we've tried AND and OR. Now let's try another interesting string operator, which is the NOT string operator. So if I run the same query, all I just did here now was to copy this query and pasted it up at the top because I want to experiment a little with this one, but I still want this one to remain the way it is to serve as a reference. Okay. Now, if I run this query, we all know what I'm going to get: 149 records of hero brands. If I introduce a NOT string operator at the back, right, to specify that we want other results, or we want results that include other brands except the hero brand. This is what this statement stands for. And if I run or execute this, we'll notice that once we scroll through our results, we do not find any traces of the hero brand, but we find other brands represented. Okay, so we can equally do this as well for this query we have up at the top here. Okay, so I'm going to delete this query, go back to this query that I just composed, run the query. You see that Budweiser and hero are the only things that are returned in the results, and I can introduce a NOT, okay, behind this brand here. And if I execute this query, you realize that Budweiser is still included in our results, right? But no hero is included in our results. And I can introduce another NOT behind Budweiser. And once I execute, we should not have any Budweiser in our results. Okay, so interestingly, we are almost done with what's it called? Almost done with this section before we move on to 2 as well. So I am going to remove this to keep it as all right. So what you need to keep in mind is very simple. All right. Once you execute this query, I've explained exactly what is going on. So let's try to change the variable, okay, or the column that is in our where clause, which is from brands to region. Okay. Now we want to include, okay, want region to be our, our yardstick or criteria for filtering our results. Now, the first thing I want you to keep in mind is this. The fact that region does not exist in our select statement does not mean that if we use region as our reference or our condition in our where clause, it will not work. It will. Okay? So let's try this. Once we execute, now we realize that everything is intact. However, the condition here has also been fulfilled. Okay, so if I change this from west to south, now let me copy, same way I do, so I don't mess with the, the script that you have. Now, if I change this west to south, okay, and I execute the query, we realize that there will be a change in the arrangement of our results. Okay, so we do not have any south. Okay, so in order to know all the regions that I have, I'm going to select regions, okay, from international breweries.pagod. So once I execute this, I should get all information on my regions. Okay, so now I have all the regions, but I realize there are some duplicates here. So the next thing I want to do is to use a distinct to bring out all the unique values. So I'm going to add a distinct. And execute query. And we can also decide to put a distinct column in brackets. We'll still get our results fine. As I like to emphasize, there are 1,001 ways of solving or achieving the same problem or achieving. Okay. So I just got a notification from Zoom because I'm using Zoom to record this. It's better than what I was using before. That I was on mute. I was muted. I hope I wasn't muted all the while. So let's continue. Now we have all the, all the regions in our database. So we see south, south, west, northeast, southeast, northwest. That is why when I entered west earlier, it did not return any results. So let me go back, copy this query, paste it here, and change this to south, south. Okay. So if we check the region of south, south, we realize that we are getting a different result. Okay. And there's another region, northwest. Okay, northwest, we realize that we are getting a different result. So this is how to use the where clause to filter our data in an advanced way. Okay, so there are so many conditions we can decide to set up. In fact, we can use multiple conditions. So in this case, if I want to use region equals northwest, and I also want to display regions that are in south-south, okay, I will not use the and, because if I do, then there's going to be a null result to be returned for me. So let's try that and see what I'm talking about. So if I say and region equals south-south, and I execute this query like so, I'll be getting a null result. And this is because there is no region, there's no value for region that contains both northwest and south-south. They only contain either of both. So if I change this to or, it's going to work. Then I'm going to get for both regions. Okay. And if I want more regions, then I can keep adding or, right? Copy this condition and set it up again in front and change this to west, for example. And if I execute, I'm getting my results and the number of records has increased. Now, this is one way of including or adding more options to our conditions. And an easier way to do this would be to use the in. Okay, introducing the in keyword is going to save us a lot of headache. Instead of typing and having to type region equals, that is each of our conditions, time after time. For example, the condition region equals northwest. Instead of typing it time after time, then separating it with an or string operator, you can simply use the in. So I'll copy and paste this query like so. And I'm going to use where region, okay, where region in, and I'm going to specify all the regions that I want. So instead of where region equal to, I'll just simply say where region in, and I open a bracket, and then I type in northwest, comma, quotation marks west, comma, quotation mark south, south. Now let me run this query and see what I have. So we can see that there's been no change because I'm getting the exact same results as the query on top here. Okay, so you can pause this video and try this out yourself. The in keyword is much easier and it will give you the same results as when you're using multiple ors, okay, in setting up your where condition. Okay. All right, so now that we have seen what the where can do for us, it's a very robust, clause, and it can help us to achieve a whole lot. Now let us see what else we have here. So let's run this query and see what it gives us. All right, so interestingly, we have now introduced a region column into this results. Okay, so what this query is doing is basically introducing a region column into our results. And let me show us basically what we just did there. We just simply added region. Okay, and if we add region and execute this query, you realize that we now have the western region, southern region, and northwestern region, and all the regions that we have specified are now included, and the only ones that are included. But the ones that we did not specify are not included. Okay. Now, there's one more interesting thing, because using your where clause, you can combine string operators to give you any desired effects. So if I want to display every other region except these three regions, right? Rather than delete each of these regions and retype those regions, I can simply add a not and negate this condition. So the moment I execute, you would notice every other region except these three regions have now been included. So please feel free to play around with all of this, all the queries that we have here. So again, you can pause and type this by yourself. Okay, so at least it's going to give you, something to type. It's not just that you'll be highlighting and executing, because when it comes to learning, it's important to engage all the senses. So as you're typing, it's increasing your propensity for learning as well. So you should try and type some things as well. Okay, so I hope we all understand much further what we explained already in the last lesson. So let's move on to lesson 2. Let's move on to the SQL script for day 2. Okay, so I'm going to, at this point, end the video to be sure that everything I'm recording have actually been recorded the way I want it to be. So I'm going to start a new video and send both as separate videos. See you soon.